Well, for the first time in many weeks, Dolton trustees and Mayor Tiffany Henyard held a public meeting together, but not at Village Hall.
A Dolton home that she leased to Mayor Tiffany Henyard has filed eviction papers. She says Henyard has not paid her rent, and now
the ongoing drama surrounding the Don saga continues to escalate, with Mayor Tiffany Henyard, often referred to as the super mayor, at the center of it all. But the question looms, is she truly super, or simply super controversial? This unfolding spectacle has all the makings of a political thriller, complete with shady characters, questionable decisions, and a whirlwind of legal battles that have left many reeling. Henyard's tenure has divided the community, with vocal supporters praising her bold leadership and critics condemning her alleged missteps, deepening polarization. The tension reached new heights when the FBI launched an investigation into her actions, thrusting her administration into the public eye with accusations that have ignited fierce debates and growing scrutiny. Whispers of backroom deals and mounting allegations have only fueled suspicions, complicating the narrative of political intrigue and casting doubt on the motivations of key players. Henyard's polarizing leadership style, coupled with increasingly convoluted legal challenges, has turned her time in office into a lightning rod for controversy. Supporters argue that her ambitious actions are essential for driving much-needed reforms, while detractors claim her approach has crossed ethical lines. With each new revelation, the story grows more complex, captivating the public and heightening the stakes for everyone involved. As the drama unfolds, the question remains, will Henyard be seen as a misunderstood leader ensnared by political games, or a mayor whose ambition led her astray? One thing is certain, this saga has the community buzzing with speculation, and its resolution will have a lasting impact on her legacy in a landscape filled with suspicion, shifting alliances, and endless developments. Henyard's story has become a true emblem of modern political theater, blending real-life stakes with a drama worthy of the big screen.
The only community that in order to get a business license or a liquor license, you need...
The latest scandal engulfing embattled Dolton Mayor Tiffany Henyard centers around her highly controversial decision to appoint Ronald Burge as the town's new police chief. What might seem like a routine mayoral responsibility has become another flashpoint in Henyard's tumultuous tenure, as the decision has ignited outrage and confusion throughout the community. The controversy stems from the fact that Ronald Burge is not legally qualified to serve as a police officer, let alone as the head of the department. According to the Illinois Law Enforcement Training and Standards Board, Burge is listed as inactive, meaning he lacks the legal authority to carry a firearm, issue citations, or perform any of the fundamental duties of a police officer. Despite these glaring issues, Henyard pushed forward with his appointment, dismissing concerns raised by town trustees and community members. Henyard's decision has prompted sharp criticism, not only for its questionable legality, but also for the perception that it reflects poor judgment and a disregard for proper governance. Trustees have filed legal challenges, arguing that the appointment is not just ill-advised but unlawful. Henyard, however, has remained steadfast in her defense of Burge, insisting that the appointment was a necessary step for the town. Despite growing opposition, critics accuse her of prioritizing personal loyalty over professional qualifications, further deepening the divide within the town's leadership. This controversy has intensified the already polarized atmosphere in Dolton, with trustees openly challenging Henyard's authority and expressing disbelief at her willingness to push through an appointment with such serious flaws. Community members too are frustrated, seeing the move as yet another example of the mayor's disregard for established norms and legal standards. Many are questioning how a mayor could justify appointing someone who cannot even perform the basic duties of a police chief. The situation has raised broader concerns about Dolton's governance and stability, with citizens wondering what it says about the leadership of a town that would allow such an appointment to go forward. As the legal battle unfolds, with trustees vowing to challenge the decision at every turn, Henyard continues to frame the uproar as a politically motivated attack against her administration, rather than a legitimate concern for the community's well-being. This latest chapter in Henyard's embattled leadership is just one in a long string of contentious decisions and legal battles that have marked her time in office. Her polarizing leadership style has consistently placed her at odds with other town officials, and this scandal has only amplified the tension. With the town's legal machinery now in motion, the stakes for both Henyard and Dolton have never been higher. Whether this scandal marks a turning point in her administration or simply adds to the growing list of challenges she faces remains to be seen. However, one thing is clear. The decision to appoint an unqualified police chief has not only plunged the town into further chaos, but also solidified Henyard's reputation as one of the most controversial and polarizing figures in Dolton's history.
Henyard's landlord showed up here to see her tenant in person after she says Henyard has been dodging both her and rent payments for months.
To fully understand the uproar surrounding Mayor Tiffany Henyard's appointment of Ronald Burge as Dolton, Illinois' police chief, it's essential to look at the broader context. This controversy didn't emerge in a vacuum. Since taking office in 2021, Henyard has been no stranger to scandals, often making headlines for all the wrong reasons. Her tenure has been marked by a series of contentious decisions, fueling public outrage and shaking residents' confidence in her leadership. One of the earliest controversies involved allegations of excessive and frivolous spending. Reports revealed that Henyard used tens of thousands of taxpayer dollars for luxury travel, extravagant dinners, and even a lavish Valentine's Day party that featured igloo rentals, R&B music, and an abundance of selfies, all paid for by the public. These lavish expenditures sparked an outcry among Dolton residents, who felt betrayed by a mayor seemingly indifferent to fiscal responsibility. The extravagant spending only deepened the community's skepticism, painting a picture of a leader more focused on indulgence than serving the public's needs. However, Henyard's spending habits are just one part of the picture. Another recurring issue is her tendency to surround herself with controversial figures, further fueling concerns about her leadership. This brings us to the present uproar surrounding Ronald Burge. When Henyard appointed him as police chief, critics were quick to point out his glaring disqualifications. Most notably, Burge's law enforcement certification had lapsed, and he hadn't completed the required requalification training since 2020. As a result, he is legally prohibited from carrying a firearm in public, which is a basic requirement for any law enforcement officer, let alone someone who is supposed to lead an entire department. The appointment raised immediate red flags, not just in the community, but also among the town's trustees, who questioned Henyard's motives and judgment. Critics argue that this appointment is part of a broader pattern in which Henyard prioritizes personal alliances over qualifications and community safety. The mayor's decision to ignore these glaring red flags and move forward with the appointment has left many Dolton residents frustrated and distrustful of her leadership. To make matters worse, Henyard's response to the growing criticism has only deepened the controversy. Instead of addressing legitimate concerns about Burge's qualifications, she has dismissed the backlash as politically motivated attacks, a defense that has done little to reassure a community already skeptical of her leadership. This dismissive stance has further eroded public trust in her administration, already under fire for her spending habits and questionable leadership decisions. The situation has reignited debates about accountability and transparency within Dolton's government. Trustees have openly challenged Henyard's authority and pledged to contest Burge's appointment through legal channels. Meanwhile, the scandal has intensified public concerns about her governance, highlighting her inability to work collaboratively with other officials and a pattern of decisions that prioritize optics and loyalty over competence and community well-being. For many Dolton residents, the appointment of an unqualified police chief feels like the final straw in an administration already riddled with controversy. The decision raises serious questions about the direction the town is heading and what the future holds for its embattled leader. Whether Henyard's bold decisions will ultimately be viewed as a testament to her resilience or will further solidify her as a divisive figure remains uncertain. However, one thing is clear: the scandals surrounding her leadership continue to overshadow any attempts at governance, leaving Dolton in a state of turmoil and uncertainty.
Finger to Tiffany or allow me, come over. Now it's time for me.
The situation surrounding Mayor Tiffany Henyard's appointment of Ronald Burge as police chief in Dolton, Illinois, becomes even more bizarre when you consider that, despite Burge's inactive status, the Illinois Law Enforcement Training and Standards Board sent Henyard a strongly worded letter urging her to remove him from the position. The letter explicitly stated that Burge cannot serve in any law enforcement capacity until Dolton submits the necessary paperwork and he completes his requalification. Yet Henyard has continued to push forward with his appointment, defying both the state's recommendations and local governance procedures. This isn't the first time Henyard has ignored legal and procedural advice. When she made the controversial appointment, the majority of the town's trustees were opposed to it, noting that, according to Dolton's ordinances, she is required to seek their approval before appointing someone to such a critical role. But Henyard, known for not following the rules, forged ahead anyway, sparking a legal battle that is still playing out in court. One of the latest developments involved Henyard appearing in person to meet with a landlord after the landlord claimed Henyard had been dodging rent payments for months. This speaks to a broader pattern of behavior that has raised serious concerns about Henyard's judgment. Henyard's controversial appointments don't end with Burge. In fact, her history of appointing individuals with questionable backgrounds or, at best, lacking qualifications for their roles seems to be a recurring theme. One online commenter succinctly captured this when they said that Henyard hires and recruits people like a mob boss. A statement that, given the evidence, is hard to argue against. It often appears that every decision she makes is designed to consolidate her power by surrounding herself with people who will not challenge her authority. Take, for example, former police chief Lacey, another one of Henyard's appointees. Like Burge, Lacey's status with the Illinois Law Enforcement Training and Standards Board was also listed as inactive. This is not an isolated incident, but rather part of a worrying pattern of placing unqualified individuals into critical positions. According to multiple online commenters, the state of Illinois has set individuals like Lacey and Burge as inactive for a reason. They are not eligible to serve as law enforcement officers. The repeated pattern of these questionable appointments raises serious concerns about Henyard's leadership and priorities. Despite the mounting legal disputes, public outcry, and growing scandals, Henyard seems to thrive in chaos. In fact, she is preparing for re-election, despite everything that has transpired. Recently, she boldly declared her intention to run for mayor again, making the announcement through a flashy, attention-grabbing social media post that simply read, "Attention! Attention! I'm running for mayor of Dolton again." While the post may have been blunt, it's clear that Henyard is not backing down. Remarkably, Henyard won her first term with a landslide victory, securing over 80% of the vote in 2021. This demonstrates that she has a base of supporters who either still believe in her leadership or did so at the time of her election. However, whether this support will endure in the face of the growing scandal and controversy is uncertain. One thing is clear though, Henyard isn't going down without a fight. She has repeatedly made it known that she is not stepping aside, regardless of the legal battles she faces or how many people call for her resignation. Her determination to hold on to her position, despite the overwhelming backlash, is a testament to her political resilience, or perhaps her refusal to acknowledge the weight of the growing concerns surrounding her leadership. Legal battles surrounding Henyard's decisions continue to unfold, and the latest court ruling has added another chapter to this ongoing saga. After Henyard appointed Burge as police chief, the town's trustees immediately pushed back, filing a restraining order to prevent him from serving without their approval. A judge initially sided with the trustees, stating that Burge could not serve in the role without going through the proper approval channels. However, after a particularly chaotic village board meeting, the judge reversed the ruling and allowed Burge to serve as interim police chief for 30 days, while the village worked out a more permanent solution. You might think that this ruling would temporarily settle the issue, but the controversy is far from over. The trustees are now preparing to return to court, armed with a letter from the Illinois Law Enforcement Training and Standards Board, which argues that Burge shouldn't even be allowed to serve as interim police chief due to his inactive status. And honestly, the trustees have a point. How can someone who is legally prohibited from carrying a firearm or performing essential law enforcement duties be trusted to lead an entire police department? The situation is not only legally questionable, but also a potential disaster waiting to happen. As the legal wrangling continues and the town's trust in Henyard erodes further, the question remains: how much longer can the mayor continue to defy the law and public opinion? The entire situation is a volatile mix of political maneuvering, legal challenges, and growing discontent among the residents of Dolton. Henyard's willingness to push ahead with her controversial appointments and defy both legal recommendations and local governance procedures has turned what should be a routine leadership decision into a full-blown crisis. Whether she can weather this storm, regain the public's trust, and continue her tenure in office remains to be seen. But for now, Dolton remains in a state of uncertainty, with its leadership under intense scrutiny.
The special board meeting because business has not gotten done at 2 previous meetings, so that's some progress there, but this meeting was not without its fair share.
The legal drama surrounding Mayor Tiffany Henyard of Dolton, Illinois, goes far beyond the controversial appointment of Ronald Burge as police chief. Henyard is facing multiple legal challenges that span both her public and personal life, further complicating an already chaotic situation. In addition to fighting the town's trustees over her questionable hiring decisions, Henyard is embroiled in a personal legal dispute with her landlord, Janetta Hull. Hull, who has known Henyard for years, and even considered her a friend, claims their relationship soured after Henyard and her boyfriend, Kamal Woods, moved into her property and stopped paying rent. Hull has tried repeatedly to serve Henyard and Woods with eviction papers, but they have managed to evade being served. To make matters worse, Henyard and Woods are now facing eviction from their rental home in Dolton due to unpaid rent, with thousands of dollars in back rent owed. According to Hull, Henyard and Woods altered the locks on the property, making it impossible for her to enter or perform necessary maintenance. Hull's frustration is palpable, and her statement, as mayor, you would think they would uphold positive citizen standards, but instead they just feel like they can do whatever they want, captures the growing discontent in Dolton. The situation has raised serious questions about Henyard's priorities, with many locals feeling that she is more interested in serving her own interests than the needs of the community. If you think the eviction drama is the extent of Henyard's problems, think again. Earlier this year, the FBI began investigating Dolton and nearby Thornton Township, where Henyard also serves as township supervisor. The investigation centers on extravagant parties, questionable contracts, and numerous purchases that seem more fitting for personal use than for public funds. For example, Henyard reportedly spent over $43,000 on Amazon in a single day last year using the village's credit card for personal purchases. This is just the tip of the iceberg. Henyard has allegedly used public money to buy goods from stores like Target, Walgreens, and Wayfair. Meanwhile, Dolton's financial situation is rapidly deteriorating, with the town now facing a deficit nearing $5 million. A preliminary report released earlier this year showed the village's general fund balance had plummeted from over $5 million in 2021 to a deficit of $365,000 by May 2024, a significant and alarming decline. Former Chicago Mayor Lori Lightfoot even became involved, launching an investigation into Dolton's finances. Henyard's spending habits are believed to be largely responsible for the town's financial woes. Despite mounting evidence, Henyard maintains that she has done nothing wrong, and that the investigations are part of a power grab against her. In fact, she has been vocal in her defense, claiming that her opponents are the ones involved in unethical practices. During a Facebook Live session earlier this year, Henyard spent over 90 minutes denouncing the accusations against her, pledging to seek arrests for those involved, and promising to file charges against anyone she believed was part of a conspiracy against her. However, despite her repeated promises to spill the tea, Henyard has not delivered any substantive evidence to back up her claims. She even hinted at starting a podcast to tell her side of the story, but that idea never materialized, leaving only vague accusations and finger-pointing in its place. Meanwhile, Henyard's detractors continue to grow louder. The legal battles against her are intensifying, and the public's patience with her leadership seems to be running thin. Many residents are questioning whether Henyard is truly a super mayor battling against an unjust system, or if she is the one who is out of control, using her position to consolidate power and fuel personal interests at the expense of the town. Her critics argue that her actions, from controversial hiring decisions to questionable financial practices, paint a picture of a leader who has lost touch with the community she was elected to serve. In the midst of all the drama, Henyard has made it clear that she has no intention of stepping down. Despite the mounting pressure from both legal challenges and public outrage, she remains defiant. In fact, she recently announced her intention to run for re-election, using a bold and eye-catching social media post to make the announcement. Attention, attention, I'm running for mayor of Dolton again. While this post may have been attention-grabbing, it also highlights Henyard's unshaken determination to hold on to power, no matter the cost. It remains to be seen whether Henyard can maintain her grip on the mayor's office amid all the legal battles and public scrutiny. But one thing is certain, she has proven herself to be a polarizing figure, and her time in office has been marked by scandal after scandal. Whether Henyard can navigate these mounting challenges and emerge as the leader she claims to be, or whether her reign will end in a major downfall, is a question that Dolton residents will be watching closely. For now, the legal drama continues, and Henyard's legacy remains in flux. The residents of Dolton are left to wonder whether their mayor will ultimately restore order and stability, or whether her ongoing controversies will plunge the town even further into turmoil.